going on, guys? It's Jay here from Faith Evolved, and I just wanted to do a little quick video. And the topic of this one is how a blind guy convinced me even further that there's a God. And hopefully this will be a good video for someone who's not convinced at all there's a God to maybe take one more piece of evidence. And a lot of times we like to point towards things that exist in the universe, you know, creation, or we like to talk about the DNA code. You know, I always would joke around with kids at school saying, oh, that CD you have, Windows 95, did that just materialize out of nowhere? You know, all the code that's there to produce the software required to run a computer just, randomly came together and the code just wrote itself. Or could it be that maybe somebody programmed it, And of course, I compare that to DNA code, how complex it is. And there's the, idea of irreducible complexity. Fine-tuned universe. Different, concepts that creationists and intelligent design proponents have come up with. Try to convince atheists and agnostics that this universe was created, or that there was a God. Most importantly, that there's some kind of intelligent being that's smarter than us that's running the show, And, those are all fantastic arguments. Somehow they don't seem to work. On a lot of people, they still seem to come up with some kind of, way to get around it, And that's all well and good, but ironically, it's what doesn't exist for some people, but others, that seems to convince me even more. In fact, I think it's one of the best arguments, at least to make you think, maybe there is a God. And the example that I'd like to give you today is this guy on YouTube, Tommy Edison. He has a channel called the Tommy Edison Experience. And it says, Tommy Edison, who has been blind since birth, uses humor to answer the most popular questions about living without sight, takes on more challenges which test his other senses, and goes on adventures that allow him to experience things for the first time. And he's a pretty funny guy. I really like him. He's got a very, just down-to-earth personality, and jokes about being blind, and, jokes that every single girl he's ever been with has been a 10. Because he can't see them, But anyway, he jokes about it. He acts like, it's not a big deal. And the reason for that is because he was born blind. He has no idea, no concept of what sight is, depth perception, colors, focus, magnification, concepts like transparent, translucent, opaque. He has no idea what any of these things mean. He doesn't even dream and see things. He doesn't have the receptors in his brain. But for some reason, he takes it for granted that everybody around him sees. They tell him that they can see. They try to explain these concepts to him, and then he's just like, he has no reference point. He's blind from birth. He has no way of knowing. He has no proof that seeing is actually even a thing, except what everybody around him is telling him. He has to take other people's words for it, that seeing is actually a thing. He can't prove it. There's nothing he can do to prove it. There's no experiment he can do. There's no test. There's no cure to get him to see. I mean, there's literally nothing he can do to prove to himself that seeing is real. Yet everybody around him, and if you're watching this video, you know that seeing is a real thing. How do you prove to this blind guy that seeing is real? So if something like that could happen to this guy, then why couldn't we be blind spiritually to the fact that maybe, just maybe, some people have the ability to sense the presence of God? And to be honest with you, have I ever sensed the presence of God? Maybe. I might have felt something here or there, or, like a eureka moment or something that just went off in my head that goes, oh, thank you, God, Like, for example, today I had Chinese food for dinner. And, I was thinking to myself, well, after I eat Chinese food, let's play some guitar. I was thinking about playing my guitar. And then I opened up my fortune cookie and it said, don't, something to the effect of don't waste your time tuning your instrument. Make music now, or something to that effect. And I was like, thanks, universe. Thanks, God, And yeah, can I prove that was God? No. I mean, could it be a coincidence? Absolutely. And I can give you a far better example of, coincidences and, synchronicities and stuff like that that's happened in my life. One was a direct answer to prayer immediately when I asked it. But even that, someone could write that off as being, a coincidence, But there are other people who have sworn they felt his presence and they felt God's love. Or people that have had near-death experiences and they swear they saw this being of light and it was Christ, or it was, an angel or a dead relative or something, something from beyond. And they went through a tunnel and they saw otherworldly realms. And, there are people that have had taken things like DMT or ketamine and had these, transcendent experiences. And they're just people that go to church and, they speak in tongues or they get slain in the spirit. Everybody seems to have some kind believers seem to have some kind of experience that they can go to and say, yeah, in my life I have reasons to believe. Besides the, logic of creation, just by looking at like the code, like DNA code or cells, or how everything has to work together in the body to function properly, and everything has to be there at once to work properly, whether you believe in evolution or not. Today, currently, if you don't have a heart, you're dead. If you don't have kidneys, you're dead. You can't filter toxins, or liver, or both, whatever, But the point is that, me or you're living your own life in your own brain, through your own ego. And unless you've had some kind of transcendent experience, which I haven't had yet, and I'm waiting for that day where I can feel like I'm one with the universe, or I'm a part of God. And everybody tells me, oh, you're a part of God, and you're, and His Spirit is, your spirit is a part of God, and we're all one, and we're all the same, in that way spiritually. And to me, it's like I haven't had that experience yet, but other people have talked about it, And other people have talked about hearing the voice of God or miracles, healings. And, I haven't seen it to that extent. I've had enough to fall back on, and then there's the part where you have to have faith. Everybody hates that word. Oh, but you have to have blind faith. No, this is why I call this channel Faith Evolved, because it's not just blind faith. There's an evolution of your faith from a mustard seed up to where it is in your life, and it does keep growing, And it wasn't for my faith, I wouldn't be here right now. Because there was a point I had a mental breakdown earlier this year, and it was my faith that kept me going, It just somehow gives me the strength to get through, sometimes just barely enough, That's my own personal experience. But for those who haven't had that experience with God yet, at the very least, you have to start believing that there's a God to expect anything, or believe in the universe is benevolent. That we live in a friendly universe, But some people call manifestation a law of attraction. They believe it's on your side. You create your reality. You have to believe in these concepts before they even work. And I believe that there's enough evidence of people around you who have claimed that there's a higher power or God, and maybe yourself, you haven't had those, quote, spiritual eyes opened yet, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just like this guy, Tommy Edison, who's never seen in his life, takes it for granted that he has to walk around with a stick outside, that he needs, he can't drive, and other people around him can drive. There's certain things he can't do, because he's blind. And he doesn't question the rest of the people around him that can see. So what if some people just aren't there yet with their spiritual vision? I know I'm not fully there yet. I just have a glimpse here and there, a glimpse of spirituality. I feel like once in a while, it's just like a fleeting moment, but just enough where I can't deny it, And I think that the people who are out there who are agnostic or atheist, maybe they haven't said, all right, maybe, just maybe this universe is, too finely tuned, or, it's too complex to have just came out of nowhere with no intelligent design behind it, At the very least, think to yourself, maybe there's, celestial beings or aliens that are far more advanced than us, and they created us. If you can't believe there's a God, because you really, I think the reason why people don't believe in God is because they question the character of God, mostly from bad examples of religionists, namely Christians, especially like Christians that are hypocrites or ones that killed in the name of God or done other evil deeds in the name of God. And that's the reason why they question God's existence, because if God exists, why would he allow all this evil and pain and suffering? And so I kind of don't blame them for, I don't blame people for questioning the character of God, but I do think that it's silly and foolish to think that there's no possibility for any God to exist. And Tommy Edison, and folks like him, I think it's some pretty good evidence. If you think of it that way, juxtapose that against the belief in or non-belief in God. You might have had zero experiences with God, but just the fact other people have, can you think about maybe taking their word for it and take it from there? Anyways, just a little food for thought. Thought it would, enlighten someone. Anyway, have a good night, folks. God bless.